Welcome to Mastering Life's Adventures, an educational podcast about tapping into your true self, the soul, the substance of your life, to discover what life's ups and downs are really about, and how to have a greater sense of purpose, peace, joy, and fulfillment. I am Dr. Judith Holder, your host, coach, psychologist, fellow seeker who enjoys diving into the connections between spirituality, psychology, wellness, and your everyday life's adventures. All preparing and polishing you like the facets of a magnificent diamond to be your best self. If you're craving more from your life, you are in the right place. Come, let's journey together and transforming what you know into who you really are. Mastering Life's Adventures begins now.
Have you ever noticed how the holidays can make even the most grounded person feel like they're somehow failing at joy? It can happen to the best of us. You're scrolling through the photos of everyone's perfectly decorated houses, matching pajamas, glowing lights, kids smiling like an ad from World for World Peace. And you can be sitting in your sweats or in something comfortable, staring at the one strand of lights that had burned out halfway across the tree. And in that quiet moment, you may have thought to yourself, and it may just have hit you, everyone else seems to have it together. What's wrong with me? That's the moment it begins. Not the holiday spirit, but the quiet undercurrent of not enough. You may realize the greatest gift you can give isn't to others, but to yourself. Hi, I'm back with another episode of Keys to Soul Progress. And today's key is a big one. Unlearning not enough. Somewhere between the holiday to-do lists, family expectations, and social media highlight reels, many of us forget that the soul isn't here to impress. It's here to express, to unfold, to grow, to shine in its own timing. And so let's be honest here. This time of the year has a funny way of magnifying what we think we lack. Your sister's career seems to be blooming. Your friends just got engaged. Your neighbor's house looks like it belongs in a Hallmark movie, or maybe it's more personal. The things you promised yourself you'd change this year but didn't. It seems like every December the world tells us to celebrate, but the mind quietly tallies up a list of what's missing. And what we call self-criticism is often just our heart's way of saying, I'm afraid I haven't mattered enough. But that is so wrong. And even though that thought aches in your heart, and what we call self-criticism is often just our heart's way of saying, I'm afraid I haven't mattered enough. But what if that thought, that ache, wasn't your enemy? But if it is actually the doorway to remembering who you are beneath the noise, and beneath all the hustle and bustle of activities that go on during the holiday season. Let me tell you about Jenna. Jenna, kind person who works hard, tries hard, either in the work and career that she's in, and at a family gathering, at life. She's a glue that holds everyone together, but she's also the one who never feels like she's enough glue. Last Christmas, her family took their usual big photo in front of the tree. And when she saw it later, her stomach dropped. She zoomed in and thought, I look tired. My arms look big. Everyone looks happy except me. She spent the rest of the night pretending to be fine. But when everyone left, she sat there in the quiet, scrolling through the photos over and over. And finally, she whispered, why can't I just be enough? Then something simple happened. Her little niece, half asleep, came out of the guest room and said, Aunt Jenna, I forgot to say good night. And Jenna, through her tears, said, you didn't forget. You just came when I needed it most. That moment cracked something open because love always shows up. Maybe not in the way we planned, but exactly when the soul is ready to receive it. And here's what I would like you to learn. I think we all have to remind ourselves, regardless of where we are on our spiritual path, when that feeling comes up, I'm not enough, it isn't a flaw to fix. It's a signal. It means your soul is ready to stop defining itself by comparison, achievement, or an approval. It can be any of those things and so much more. So when that inkling comes up in you, don't try to squash it or push it aside. No, that is trying to tell you something, and utilize it as fuel. Because every time we judge ourselves, we forget our source, that divine current within that doesn't measure, it just is. See, the mind was trained to believe love has to be earned. We've had that all throughout our lives, all throughout grade school, high school, for those who went to college or trade school or stay-at-home moms and dads, always trained into our mind that love has to be earned. The soul knows love simply is. Unlearning, not enough, isn't about convincing yourself that you're perfect. It's about remembering that your worth didn't disappear. You just stopped looking in the right direction. Let me give you some examples that might be of help. As we're talking about this, being really attuned to the fact that unlearning not enough is a key to soul progress, because you are enough in so many different ways. We forget and we end up trying, when you're either paddling or kicking your feet just to stay up and above water. You don't have to do that. And let me give you some stories that might be of help to you. Sometimes we just need to float during those times and let the ocean or the lake or the water support you and not feel like you have to do something all the time. So here's a story. A few years ago, I spent Christmas at a friend's house, and there was candles everywhere, music, laughter, and there was one empty chair. Her father had passed about a year before, and you could feel the space he used to fill. And when we sat down to eat, she didn't say anything about the empty chair. She just quietly placed a plate in front of that chair. Later that night, I did ask, why? She said, because love doesn't disappear. when someone does is still part of the table. That line stayed with me for a good number of years and continues to bring me thoughts about that, and also about soul progress, soul development. Even though the soul moves on, the presence of what that person has brought into our life is ever present through love. But that line stayed with me because for many people, the holidays bring reminders, not of abundance, but of absence. The family member who isn't there, the version of yourself you hope would be. The empty space isn't a punishment, it is an invitation, a space for grace to enter. And sometimes, not enough is really just the soul saying, I'm ready to fill the space with something deeper. And you might be thinking, why do we tend to struggle to believe we're enough? What happens that we hold on to it for a little bit and then it slips away? What happens when we really think about being enough and it feels scary? Let's talk about the real challenge. What if you just don't believe those comforting words? People will say, you've got to love yourself first. But for some, that feels impossible. It feels too squishy, too woo-woo. But how do you love someone you've spent years criticizing? Sometimes people think about it, yeah, we should love unconditionally, but how do you do that? Here's the truth. I discovered in a very interesting way in my reflections and in my thinkings and in my observations of people and the stories that would come to me as a coach, as well as a psychologist. I focus more on coaching nowadays. And this can be kind of a hard truth, but it's something to be aware of. Self-love doesn't start with fireworks or affirmations. It starts with curiosity. Have you ever asked yourself, what if I've been wrong about me, about yourself? That question alone cracks the door because we're talking about curiosity. And most people don't need more confidence. They need permission to see themselves without the old filters. These are filters that say you should have done more. You always mess up. They're disappointed in you. Look, they're not liking something I said or did. What if you paused right there and said, hold on, that voice isn't the whole story. That's the moment your soul gets a word in. It gets through the crack by you asking and being curious. And that's what we need to do more of. We need to be curious and say, that's an automatic thought. Why am I thinking that right now? Is it helpful to me? What would be more helpful to me and my soul growth and evolution? I'd like to tell you a story about a Christmas card I got that might tie some of this into what we're talking about. About 2 years ago, my brother sent me a Christmas card that simply said, thank you for being you. No fancy message, no long note, just that. And I think we all have had those messages that may have said something similar to you. Very simple, but very elegantly. And then it may hit you as it hit me. That I couldn't remember the last time I told myself that. It's interesting because we tend to focus on other people, but we focus less sometimes actively, proactively on ourselves. And in my process of sitting with that, I said it out loud. Thank you for being you. not for being productive, not for being inspiring, not for holding it together, just for being. And that's when I realized something. We spend our lives waiting for others to validate what we're meant to remember. You can't receive what you refuse to believe exists within you. And that's why you hear me continually talking about the soul. And what are the different ways that we need to remember our soul? And also remember that thank you for being you. Thank you for being who I am right here and right now. It doesn't mean I can't change, I can't evolve, I can't grow, but I accept and appreciate who I am right here and now. During the holidays, where there is noisiness, busyness, also always something going on, beneath all the carols and chaos, there's a quiet voice whispering, you've never been less than enough. You've just been too busy to notice. The more we can settle into the awareness that I am more than good enough for the soul that exists within me, the spirit spark that exists within me, the higher self, my promptings that lead and guide me, there is a richness to that. When we are living our life from awareness that God is with us, guiding us, directing us. And I'm not going to say we're not going to forget at times, because I do it. I think we all do it. We forget. But we need little reminders for ourselves. And they come in very special ways. And sometimes we need to read something spiritually or inspirationally that has us grounded in the awareness that truly we've never been less than enough. We are more than good enough because of the God that exists within us, because of our soul and our desire of wanting to always find ways to settle into the goodness and also move towards being better in the actions that we do. How can you make this stick? And I was thinking about that. How to make this real, not just another feel-good thought, but something that sticks. Here's what I think may work for you. And it may start to change your life and how you approach not just the holidays, but your life in general. Every morning during this season and thereafter, before the cell phone and looking at it, before the news, take one small act that says, I matter. It could be as simple as pouring your coffee or tea into your favorite mug. Instead of rushing out the door, light a candle before work. Say a little prayer, and then extinguish the candle. Write your name at the bottom of a list before the task begins. Having you as a priority on that task list, even though it may be at the end, or you can put it at the beginning, think about, what do you want to do or say to yourself that is uplifting, that is solidifying the soul, the Christ, the Lord, the spirit spark that exists within you? Writing your name at the top of the list before the task begins. That inner critic starts talking, and it will. Don't fight it. Just answer the truth. Say, when you have that inner critic come up, you've done enough for today. You are enough for today. Just because you didn't get through your entire list doesn't mean that you're not enough. You are. You're doing the best you can. And there's always an opportunity to see how you want to enrich what you're doing. And you don't have to believe it all at once. Just keep saying it from a place of willingness that you've done enough for today. You are enough for today. Because willingness is the bridge between doubt and faith. And if all else fails, remember this. Love isn't something you earn by becoming perfect. It's the air your soul breathes when you finally stop holding your breath. As we're moving through the holiday season, remember, you can decorate your home, wrap the gifts, and still miss the most important one, you. The gift you forgot isn't material. It's remembering that the light you've been searching for outside has been glowing quietly within you all along. You don't have to unlearn who you are. You just have to remember the story that told you you weren't enough. Start to extinguish it. Start to move past it. Start to transmute it. Because the essence of who you are is more than enough. If today's message stirred something in you, let me know. And if what we're talking about today during this holiday season, remind yourself that this year doesn't define you. You becoming does. And that is the gift. Something to think about. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining me for this episode on Mastering Life's Adventures, being your best self through soul evolution. If you have enjoyed what you've heard today, I would be delighted if you would share this episode with others, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe to my Mastering Life's Adventures podcast. Look forward to your joining the next episode. Please leave any comments or suggestions you might have below. Bye for now.